Hello and welcome to another edition of This Week in Mediaocrity. I'm your host Joel Foster, who will be taking you down the wormhole to the best and the worst news coverage this week. Originally I was going to do some holiday-themed pieces of fake news, but I feel like I have to address the elephant in the room. Or maybe I should say, the stud in the creek. Nice rod there, Vlad. That's right, Russia has been dominating the headlines this week as allegations of hacking were announced by the CIA last weekend. It began when the CIA announced that they had evidence that Russia attacked the US in order to interfere with our elections and get Donald Trump elected. The original briefing stated that the intelligence community as a whole believes that Russian agents were behind the release of emails belonging to former Clinton advisor John Podesta and DNC chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz. President Obama ordered a full investigation into the hacking, which you think would be the rational thing to do. But what's rational these days? The call for an investigation gave windbags like Rush Limbaugh something to yell about this week, and they took advantage, hard. The weirdest thing about the media this week is that sites like Breitbart and InfoWars jumped all over the fake news thing. They called out the Washington Post and the New York Times as being the prime offenders of fake news. But those same sites were the ones being targeted for fake news in the first place. It's like calling the kettle anything but black. Right-wing news outlets seem to take the view that there's no need to investigate the hacking. The election is over, so you should shut up, accept it, and flourish Vladimir Putin with the kind of excitement usually reserved for denying women's rights. Let's start with InfoWars. You probably know Alex Jones as the far-right conspiracy theorist who learned to talk by watching wrestling. Jones is calling the hacking issue a conspiracy theory. Let me repeat that. Alex Jones, the guy that says this,
had doctors on about this. Her shoulders are too wide. She's on like the 100th percentile of women, okay, with her body type. Her arms, everything. She always has this pooch, like she's wearing either a codpiece or has genitalia, okay? Now, she looks like a man. Like, dude looks like a lady, lady looks like a dude. And this is a funny cartoonist, Ben Garrison, who they're always calling racist and bad. And I mean, I'm sorry, it's true. It's a giant viral video phenomenon for like 8 years that she's a man. All I know is Obama was raised by a tranny in Indonesia. They're into all sorts of stuff. Co-president that tells kids what lunch to eat around the country, because you're God. Obama is obsessing, saying he'll sue Texas, sue North Carolina if we don't teach 5-year-olds how to be trannies, trying to sexually confuse kids. And you're fair game. And don't forget, the famous comedian Joan Rivers said, of course everyone knows she's a tranny. She's dead serious. Yeah, she's a man. Deader than a doornail in a routine operation where basically she had fire poured down her throat, was a fire-breathing goblin. I don't know if this was a weather weapon or not, but they can, with the right weather conditions, they can create and steer groups of tornadoes. The question is, were helicopters, because they use those up close, and small fixed-wing aircraft seen in and around the weather patterns? Like did people 50 miles out as these storm systems, did they see aircraft in and around the clouds spraying and doing things? If you saw that, you better bet your bottom dollar they did this. But the reason there's so many gay people now is because it's a chemical warfare operation. I have the government documents where they said they're going to encourage homosexuality with chemicals so that people don't have children. I even catch myself, Bob, drinking out of these estrogen mimickers. In fact, it'll probably say it if it's lined with it inside the plastic packaging. I wonder if this spring water, natural lime flavor I'm drinking. I know full well HEB's putting fluoride in this. Why am I drinking this? I know full well these kettle chips say that they don't have MSG, but they've got the yeast extract thing that says it's MSG. What's wrong with us? Why won't we stop? Why am I so weak? And they know that they have immersed us in this, Bob. For those watching on prisonplanet.tv, here's the inside of this juice box. And if they zoom in any more, see that thin plastic? It's got it. And I'm letting my children drink this. Why? Because after you're done drinking your little juices, well, you're ready to go out and have a baby. You're ready to put makeup on. You're ready to wear a short skirt. You're ready to go, put together a garden of roses or something. You're ready to put lipstick on. Look at this.
Yeah, that guy. He's calling the investigation, which may involve the first instance of a foreign power interfering with the U.S. election, a conspiracy theory. And what the hell? Let's do one more.
Pop star Taylor Swift is the latest in a long line of celebrities peddling death upon the people of the United States and the world.
We're going to get the latest now on the Trump transition and those.
Alex, you can insult our government, our president, even our snacks, but you leave Tay-Tay alone. Fox News hasn't gone so far as to call it a conspiracy theory, but they're claiming that Democrats are fanning the flames by urging an investigation. Now, what should be a serious investigation into a serious problem has instead become a sport, pitting one team against the other. By making this a partisan issue, we're kind of not taking it very seriously. And our president, or our president-elect, who should probably be worrying the most about this, isn't helping.
We're going to get the latest now on the Trump transition and those new questions about Russian interference in our U.S. election. On Sunday, the president-elect said that the CIA's conclusion that Russia tried to help Trump win the election is, quote, ridiculous, as senators from both parties joined together to call for a new investigation of the claims. Trump senior advisor Kellyanne Conway standing by live. First, let's get the breaking details from ABC's Tom Yamas right here. Good morning, Tom.
George, good morning to you. And President-elect Trump is pushing back on that news as he gets closer and closer to moving into the White House. Trump accusing forces not outside the country, but inside of trying to undermine his presidency. President-elect Donald Trump in the middle of an intelligence drama, rejecting news reports that Russia not only interfered in the U.S. election, but did it to help Trump win.
I think it's ridiculous. I think it's just another excuse. I don't believe it.
Trump claiming politics is behind the story.
I think the Democrats are putting it out because they suffered one of the greatest defeats in the history of politics in this country.
Despite the U.S. intelligence community pointing the finger at Russia, the president-elect refusing to believe it.
They have no idea if it's Russia or China or somebody. It could be somebody sitting in a bed someplace.
Okay, so we'll just have to search all of Russia, China, and every bed in New Jersey to find somebody. What happened to Donald Trump's can-do, I'll solve every problem spirit? Remember that? Now he's just like, screw it. What are you going to do? Just let it go. Now, Tucker Carlson, also of Fox, seems to have a similar point of view as Trump. He likes more information when it embarrasses people he doesn't like. But otherwise, why do we need information? Here's Tucker now.
Joining us.
Good to be with you.
So one of the complaints in this letter, which is pretty interesting, is that Russia, and I'm quoting now, hacked our political institutions by, among other things, giving us access to John Podesta's emails in WikiLeaks. Now, I'm against hacking people's personal emails, for sure. I think it's a problem. But no one contests that those emails were real and the information in them was true, and voters got to see that, and it helped them assess how they wanted to vote. Why is that bad? Are you really arguing against more information for voters?
CIA and the FBI examine.
You're arguing against more information. Maybe he's confused at what information is. Or maybe he just needs his bow tie back. I don't know. Now, Rush Limbaugh, seen here, enduring the crushing emptiness of his life, echoed the same points as Trump. He claimed that security experts could never find who the hacker is, as if tracking an IP address isn't something your 15-year-old cousin can't do. And what does Rush Limbaugh know about cybersecurity? I'll be the first one to admit I know nothing about cybersecurity. I also know nothing about falling into an OxyContin stupor while watching a Steelers game, but I don't tell Rush Limbaugh how to live his life. The latest twist is the belief that there were no hacks, but rather leaks. I'll let you hear it from Judge Napolitano, Fox News' resident firebrand, who may or may not be a bullfrog with porcupine quills.
CIA and the FBI examined the exact same data, which was produced for them by the NSA. The CIA's analysts said the Russians were behind this. The FBI's analysts said there's no evidence that the Russians were behind it. But we do know that this was leaking. It was not hacking. Leaking is the unauthorized exposure of something to a person for whom it wasn't intended. Hacking is the altering of an operational system so you get a false result.
Did anyone else lose their sex drive forever when you started talking about hacks and leaks? That's right, the new view is that there are no hacks, but rather leaks. The idea started with a British ambassador named Craig Murray, who told a UK newspaper that he knows who the leaker is, and they're not Russian, but American. Dun, dun, dun. This means that it must be an inside job. But before we decide to pull out that old 9/11 truther t-shirt, let's think about this. Why would someone risk prison to expose the emails of John Podesta? If you got around to reading any of them, the most interesting thing from those emails was finding out that he's a UFO nut who hangs out with Tom DeLonge of Blink-182. Yeah, that's real. Edward Snowden leaking information on mass surveillance and risking prison. That makes sense. The same for Chelsea Manning, who received a 35-year prison sentence for leaking information about possible war crimes. That makes sense. So really, does it make any sense for someone to risk prison to reveal that Clinton didn't like Bernie or gossip about Chelsea Clinton? The irony of the whole thing is that it is a conspiracy theory, but a valid one. Putin has shown aggression through all sorts of ways, from ordering attacks in Aleppo to the invasion of Ukraine to challenging NATO. He's done everything short of giving NATO commander Fogh Rasmussen a wedgie. So why do we think it's below Russia to do something like this? What people like Limbaugh don't seem to get is this shouldn't be a political issue, but something that actually unites us. This is Russia. I thought we all agreed that Russia's the bad guy. It goes Russia, Chinese triad, and German terrorist with a thirst for bearer bonds. Just look at Putin. Just look at Putin. There you go. He's the perfect villain. I wouldn't be surprised if he was an actor hired in the 70s by Donald Trump. And don't forget, these are the people who bullied a cute squirrel and a mentally handicapped moose. And who killed Apollo Creed.
If he dies, he dies.
And let's not forget the time they invaded Calumet High School.
You do something, Mr. Teasdale.
The point is that if there's even a remote chance that there was a deliberate attempt to disrupt our elections, then maybe we should at least look into it. Trump supporters say that if Russia's proven innocent, then Democrats will only deny the evidence. And maybe they're right. And Democrats will look stupid for doing that. So let them. In the words of the executive producer of The Apprentice, what the hell you got to lose? Thank you. This has been This Week in Mediaocrity. I'm Joel Foster, and I will see you next week. Thank you.